Hey everyone! Today we'll be working on Alice's Vorpal Blade from American McGee's Alice and Alice Madness Returns. So here are the supplies I have: foam, hot glue gun, X-Acto knives, all that jazz. And I got this cute little kit. I won it in a contest. I can't remember from whom, but I love it. It's got, there we go. It's got all these different blades and things, and it's really nice. If I can remember the name of the Instagram I won it from, I will link it below. But first thing I did is grab some paper and a pencil, and I'm going to draw out the shape of the Vorpal blade. So the Vorpal blade literally just kind of looks like a large butcher's knife or a kitchen knife. And so I just kind of drew out the generic shape that I wanted to go for with it, just so I could see what I wanted to do and how I wanted to build up the foam and things like that to make it look kind of like the right shape. I will be the first to admit that I am not totally in love with how this knife turns out in the end, and that's not me like dogging on myself. Like I there are rooms for improvement, but I've had been working on this for over a year now, so I really just wanted to get it done, and get it out there for the world to see, because I was tired of looking at just a foam cube sitting in my room. But yeah, so after I drew it out, I cut it out with an X-Acto knife. I think I actually ended up getting scissors at some point, but I was trying to show like how precisely one could cut it out if they chose to. And I kind of had to choose how I cut it out because, as you can see, I got a little sketchy with the lines there. So, but then here is what it looked like once it was all cut out. Very flimsy, but I liked the way it fit in my hand and the shape, so I decided that I would go with it. Then I got this big old chunk of foam. This is like the floor mat foam. It's pretty thick, and I used it as my base. I taped the paper down, so that way I could just cut it out and go from there. Now, if I was smart, I would have just traced this shape onto the foam and cut it out, but I'm not. So here's what it looks like, just foam in hand. I honestly wish I had stayed with just this, but I wanted to make it a little more sturdy, and I felt like it needed to be a little thicker, so I cut out a second sheet of foam, so I could glue them together. So that is what I'm doing here, is cutting out the, I guess you call it the back half or the second half of the foam, so I can glue them together. Now here's the really dumb part coming up. I used old crochet hooks. No one kill me, please. I used old crochet hooks because I had them laying around and I didn't have the time or the money to go buy a like a dowel or something like that. But yeah, so I very shakily apparently glued these in between the two layers of foam to try and use it as a base, and it kind of worked surprisingly well. But if I was to ever do it again, I would just get a dowel. Oh, and yeah, that is the handle. It's gross, and I had to go back and fix it a lot. But yeah, and I did a lot of filling in on this with hot glue and foam, and paint, just trying to make it all work with the materials that I had. So then I wanted to make the hilt of the blade. So here I am trying to show like how I would measure it out. I've learned so much since making this just a year ago that I'm just like, I did this a dumb way a lot of times. But essentially I cut out a piece of foam and wrapped it around the handle to try and cover some things. But Lord, the end of this hilt was really giving me some trouble. So I believe I just put a glob of hot glue on the end of it and moved on towards the end. Oh, and then I made the little strips around the top of the hilt to make it look more hilty. Is that a word? Hilty? I don't know if that's a word, but I liked how it looked. So, and then last but not least, I skipped everything and went straight to painting. I literally forgot to film so much in between this, but I really liked how it turned out. I tried to put details in the sort of in the like blade itself, but I don't really like how it came out. It looks kind of okay. The hilt is honestly my favorite part of this soul sword. And oh yeah, it's real tilted. Why is it tilted? Because I used the crochet hooks. And the crochet hooks were easily bent. But yeah, here's my little blade. And I hope you guys enjoyed this little video I made.